everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Charlene and this is my little YouTube channel where I talk mainly about books but also with a little bit of travel and lifestyle as well. And today I'm going to be taking you through my updated TBR list. Hi everyone, I hope you're all well and I'm really excited because today I'm going to be talking you through my updated TBR list. But to be clear, this is by no means all of the books on my shelf that need to be read. These are just the books that I really want to get to in the second half of this year. I'm sure there's going to be some others that pop in amongst that. So this isn't going to be my definitive list of what I'm going to read for the second half of the year. These are just the books I'm desperate to get to in amongst all the others that are just hanging out on my shelves. So I guess I'm just going to dive in then and start talking to you about all of the books on my TBR list. Now I've got quite a few here with me today. So if you haven't already, you might want to press pause and go grab yourself a cup of tea or coffee because I feel like I might be here for a while. But like I said, these books are just the ones that I want to get to this year. Well, in the second half of this year. They're not even all of the ones that I still got to read on my shelves. There are far more that I've got just hanging out on my shelves that I haven't got to yet. And as well as that, I really wanted to do another book haul because so many people have been suggesting book recommendations to me in my comments, which is amazing. And I really trust your guys' opinion. You know what I like and you seem to be reading the same kind of thing. So if you suggest something to me, I'm going to buy it. Well, as long as it's not like an obscene amount, but I'm gonna get around to as many as possible. So yeah, this is just a list of what I want to get to that's on my shelves at the moment, and there's going to be more popping in there throughout the year. We just know that that's going to happen. So I'm just going to start with whatever's on top, and I'm just going to keep picking off this little pile. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I'll try not to spend too long talking about each one. But we will start off with If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. I've only read one other book by M.L. Rio, and that was, I can't remember what it's called, Graveyard Shift, the one with the mushrooms. And I did enjoy that, but that was a very short book and I didn't feel like I got quite enough from it. So I'm very excited to get round to If We Were Villains. If you do not know, then one of my favourite things, two of my favourite things, thrillers and also dark academia, and I think this is in the dark academia lane, so I really want to get to this. I've heard nothing but really good things about this, and it just looks very much up my street. It's not too big. I mean, I suppose it is a bit of a chunker. What are we on? 422 pages. That's kind of chunky, not too bad, but let me just whiz through the blurb real quick. Oliver Marks has just served 10 years for a murder he may or may not have committed. On the day of his release, he is greeted by the detective who put him in prison. Detective Colborne is retiring and he wants to know what really happened a decade before. As a young actor at an elite conservatory, okay, Oliver noticed that his talented classmates seemed to play the same characters on stage and off. Villain, hero, temptress, though he was always a supporting role. When the teachers change the casting, a good-natured rivalry turns ugly and the play spills dangerously over into real life. When tragedy strikes, one of the 7 friends is found dead. The rest face their greatest acting challenge yet, convincing the police and themselves that they are blameless. Ah! That sounds so far up my street. Like I said, I love dark academia, I love thriller. If there's like within the first few chapters of a book, if there's like a murder or some kind of crime or something that happens, I'm in. So I really am looking forward to reading If We Were Villains, and I'm going to do my best actually to get to this one pretty soon, I think. The next book on my TBR list is Weyward by Emilia Hart. Anybody who knows me knows I love a book about witches. I love anything about witches and witchcraft and the witch trials and all of that stuff. It really fascinates me. I find it so interesting and yeah, mysterious and just like feminist and just very cool. So I like that very much. Weyward. So on the front it says, men invented the word witch, we call ourselves wayward. So it looks very cool. Loving the cover. Let me just read you the blurb very quickly. 3 women, 5 centuries, 1 spellbinding story. In the present day, Kate flees a traumatic relationship to the Cumbrian cottage she inherited from her great aunt, but the cottage hides secrets of its own. In 1942, Violet rebels against her father's ideas of a proper young lady until he takes matters into his own hands. In 1619, Altha is on trial for witchcraft, implicated in the gruesome death of a local man. 3 women they try to cage, but wayward women belong to the wild and they cannot be tamed. That sounds so good. Yeah, really, really up my street, really my thing. I've just noticed as well that when you flick through the book, I don't know if you can see in the corner, there's like a little bird flying. That pleases me. But yeah, I know I'm gonna love this. It's gonna have to do not very well for me to not love it, because I love anything about witches. So Weyward, that's another one on my TBR list. The next book on my TBR list is a pretty recent addition, and that's because I've read a couple of other books by this author that I've loved. So this one is Middle of the Night by Riley Sager, and I'm very much looking forward to getting around to this one because I've recently read The Only One Left and I read Survive the Night, both of which I loved, both of which I scored a 4 out of 5 stars. This author, is quickly becoming one of my favourites. He writes thrillers, but he writes them in a way that is so gripping and fast-paced. It's always epic, it's always very dramatic, there's always so many twists and turns. Like how I've learned from reading Riley Sager's other books that whatever you expect at the beginning of the book is going to happen, you're wrong, and it's not going to happen, and it's going to be something completely different that happens at the end. Really, really looking forward to getting round to this one, and I'm just going to read you the blurb real quick. On July 15, 1994, 10-year-old Ethan fell asleep in a tent next to his best friend Billy. In the morning, Ethan woke up alone. Billy was never seen again. 30 years later, Ethan has returned to his childhood home, still desperate for answers. Who took Billy? Plagued by bad dreams and insomnia, he begins to notice strange things happening on his street under the cover of darkness. Someone is prowling the cul-de-sac when no one is awake to see them. Is the culprit still out there? This isn't a bad neighborhood. These aren't bad people, but what if they are? That again sounds very, very interesting. And the other Riley Sager books that I've read have been a fast read. They've been really fun, and they've been, although they're a thriller, they felt like quite a light, easy, fun read. So I think what I'll do with this one is I'll read this in between slightly bigger or heavier books, because whenever I read a Riley Sager book, it just feels like a little break. Like it feels like easy and fun and nothing that I have to concentrate too much on, which is, I love that. And also I love his writing and the fact that he always has fairly short chapters, which is great for a slow reader. So I can't wait to get round to Middle of the Night by Riley Sager. The next book on my TBR list, and I can't believe I haven't got to this yet. I've been saying that I'm going to read this book for ages, and it's been doing the round for ages, and people have been talking about it and loving it for so long, so I don't know why I haven't got to it yet. But that is Babel by R.F. Kuang. Now, I don't know if I'm pronouncing any of that right. I don't know, is it pronounced Babel or Babel? I'm not sure. I think when I've heard other people speak about it, it's Babel. But basically, this is a big, juicy chunker of a dark academia book. And everybody that has read The Secret History, which is one of my favourite books, and I gave it a 5 out of 5, said that if you enjoyed The Secret History and that kind of dark academia feel, then you should read Babel. So yeah, this has been sitting on my shelf for a long time. And recently we were meant to go away to York for a week and then to Edinburgh for a few days, like in one trip. And I was going to take this with me to read along the journey and to read across that little break away. But unfortunately, me and my husband got really sick. That was when I had the flu really badly. We got really, really sick and we had to cancel our holiday, and I just didn't get around to reading it, so I'm really gutted that I didn't get a chance to read it yet. This is very, very high on my list of what I want to read next. It's a huge book. It's got 546 pages, so let me just read you the blurb. Oxford, 1836, the city of dreaming spires. It is the centre of all knowledge and progress in the world, and its heart is Babel, Oxford University's prestigious Royal Institute of Translation, the tower from which all the power of the empire flows. Orphaned in Canton and brought to England by a mysterious guardian, Robin Swift thought Babel was a paradise until it became a prison. But can a student stand against an empire? That again sounds so, so interesting. Another reason that I really, really want to read it is because Oxford is not too far from us and we absolutely love visiting. We don't get to go that often because it's still like enough of a journey where you don't get to go all the time, but it's fairly close, and we absolutely love it there. I think Oxford is the most beautiful city. It's got such beautiful buildings and architecture. It's got some amazing shops. It's got loads of bookshops. It feels very like a writer's destination. Do you know what I mean? Like, it feels very much like that kind of academic kind of town, which obviously it is because there's a university there. But I absolutely love Oxford and everything there. So I really very much want to read this and then go to Oxford, or maybe go to Oxford as I'm reading this. That would be super fun. But yes, Babel, high up on my list, and I'm stupid to have not got to it before now, but this will be one that I'll try and get around to soon. The next book on my TBR list, and one that's a fairly recent addition, is Mrs. March by Virginia Feito. So I was just talking about when we were supposed to go to York and Edinburgh, and we didn't go because we got the flu real bad. And when we did, and I was just like bedbound for like, I don't know how long it was, like at least a week. But I read Virginia Feito's, another one of her books, what's it called? Something Psycho, Victorian Psycho. And it was so weird and fun, and I probably wasn't in the right mindset to read it when I was really, really ill, because it was proper out there and weird, and there were some parts of it that were really shocking and disgusting. But even then, even in my sorry state for myself, I really, really enjoyed it. And so I did a quick review video on it. And somebody commented on that video saying, if you enjoyed that, you should read Mrs. March. And it was one of their recent reads and that they'd really enjoyed it. So as soon as I got that recommendation, I popped it in my basket and it got delivered a few days later. And here we are. Mrs. March by Virginia Feito. Apparently it's a Sunday Times bestseller, but I hadn't ever heard of it until it got recommended to me. Very cool cover. If this book is anything like Victorian Psycho, then it's going to be weird, it's going to be unique and unusual, modern, but still rooted in the past, and just very out there. And if it's anything like that, I can't wait to read it. Let me read you the blurb. Mrs. March lives an exquisitely controlled existence. The wealthy wife of a novelist, her life is one of routine and decorum. But one morning, on a visit to her favourite patisserie, Mrs. March suffers a horrifying indignity. The shopkeeper remarks that the detestable protagonist of George March's latest novel must surely be based on Mrs. March herself. The humiliation is too much. She has been robbed not only of her beloved patisserie, which she will never visit again, but of the belief in everything she thought she knew about her husband and herself. Thus begins an increasingly paranoid journey, one that may well uncover both a killer and some long-buried secrets from Mrs. March's past. So that sounds a little bit like Victorian Psycho was really shocking and dark and disgusting, but also like there was the whole way through it, there was like a dark humour undertone, and it was just like very self-aware, and I enjoyed both those aspects. And it sounds like this is going to have some dark humour in it as well. Quite a short book, so again, probably one that you can pick up in between longer reads. That's pages 284, so it's not too long at all. So yeah, Mrs. March, I can't wait to read this. The next book on my TBR list is The Maidens by Alex Michaelides. Probably not pronouncing that right, but this is another book that's been on my shelf for ages, ever since that I discovered that I loved dark academia. There have been a few books sitting on my shelves, and this has been one that I picked up as soon as I read The Secret History and did a little bit of research into dark academia books, and The Maidens came up. I've heard a lot about this book, and every single person I've heard speak about this book absolutely raves about it. It's not too long, which is quite surprising for a dark academia book. I feel like all of them are really, really long. This is 356 pages, which I guess is kind of standard length. But let me just read you the blurb on this one. You are invited to join the Maidens, a secretive set of the brightest, most captivating students, the group from whom each victim will be chosen. The Maidens are a Cambridge University's most exclusive society, whose members are selected by the charismatic professor of Greek tragedy, Edward Fosker. When one of the Maidens is murdered, grieving young therapist Mariana Andros is drawn back to the idyllic campus where she was once herself a student. Because beneath the university's ancient traditions and beauty is a web of secrets, jealousy and lies. And when the killer threatens the person she loves most, Mariana will give anything to stop them, even her own life. That made me feel like excited even just to read the blurb. probably read it very badly, but it made me feel really excited because as I was reading that, elements of it definitely reminded me of The Secret History. If any of you have read The Secret History, you'll know what I'm saying. That sounds very similar to that kind of vibe, and I love that book. It sounds super, super interesting. I love like the combination of like the dark academia and the murder and like the secret society. All of that interests me so, so much. So yeah, the Maidens, I have to get round to this one very, very soon. So we're halfway through my little stack of my TBR list. Got 6 more to go, so I will start here with A Discovery of Witches, which is one hell of a chunker of a book. Let me have a look at the pages here, because this is the only thing that's prevented me getting round to reading this book. 688. Okay, that's the only reason that I haven't read this yet, is because of the size of the book. However, I have pre-prepared myself and I've downloaded this on Audible so that I can, when I get to it, I can have a little bit of listening and reading, because it's just absolutely massive. Again, I picked this up because I love witches and I love anything to do with witches or witchcraft. This was actually recommended to me by my dad, who listened to the audiobook a while ago and then watched, there's a program about it as well, and loved all of it and thought that I probably would too. So I've had this on my shelf for ages and I really, really love the sound of it and I really want to get to it. I've just really got to choose my time to read it when I've got plenty of time on my hands. So let me read you the blurb. A world of witches, demons and vampires, a manuscript which holds the secrets of their past and the key to their future. Diana and Matthew, the forbidden love at the heart of it. That's all it says. That's all the blurb we're getting. But like I said, I got this because it was so highly recommended to me, and also because I love witches. I just love the history of witches. I love it. Just the whole subject fascinates me. So yeah, when I've got time and when I'm feeling like taking on a chunker, maybe when I've just read something a bit smaller, then I will get round to A Discovery of Witches. The next book is one of those where I just don't know how I haven't got round to reading this sooner. It's been on my shelf for ages and ages. It's another one that I've heard everybody raving about for months and months, maybe even years now. I can't remember when it came out, but everyone loves it. And yeah, I know I will too. I just haven't had a chance to read it yet. And that is Yellowface by Rebecca F. Kuang. And I can't believe I haven't got to this. Again, I absolutely love this book as well, because look at the edges are all yellow. I think this must have been a limited edition. Yeah, it doesn't say where I got it from or anything like that, but you can probably hear. That sounds stiff. That's how long that's been on my shelf waiting to be read. And it looks so inviting as well. And I know I love the story because I've heard loads of people talking about it and I really, really, really want to read it. But I just haven't got round to it yet. You know what it's like when you've got loads of things you want to read on your shelf and you're like, something keeps getting pushed back. That's this. So let me read you the blurb. This is one hell of a story. It's just not hers to tell. When failed writer June Hayward witnesses her rival Athena Liu die in a freak accident, she sees her opportunity and takes it. So what if it means stealing Athena's final manuscript? And so what if it means borrowing her identity? And so what if the first lie is only the beginning? Finally, June has the fame she always deserved, but someone is about to expose her. What happens next is entirely everyone else's fault. That sounds really, really interesting. I've recently read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and it was that kind of like dramatic, gossipy, biography feeling, kind of, obviously it's a fiction book, but that kind of feel to it. And I really, really loved it. It was just an easy, fun, relaxed read. And it sounds like something similar to this. Maybe this sounds a little bit more dark, but yeah, it sounds like that kind of vibe, but I really can't wait to get to it. Oh bless it, it's so stiff. Okay, I'll get around to this one soon. The next book on my TBR list is a bit of a random one, I will say. But I've got like a bit of an obsession, maybe not obsession isn't the right word, a fascination or an interest with Titanic. And I think it was because when I was younger, I watched Titanic, the movie, all the time. And I don't know how I did it, because it's like 3.5 hours long or something like that. But I watched it, like I used to get home from school and like while I was doing my homework or whatever I was doing, I just always put it on, and Titanic was just always on for some reason. And so from there I developed a little bit of an interest and a fascination about Titanic. So my husband heard somebody speaking about this book. I think it was Books Are Sick that he heard talking about this book, and so he picked it up for me. And it's only a very short, very tiny book, which is all about the Titanic. Oh, that feels like it's got a good flop on it as well, which is great. So I'm really looking forward to reading this one. He only bought me this within literally the last couple of weeks. It's not been on my shelf for long, but it's called A Night to Remember, the classic best-selling account of the sinking of the Titanic by Walter Lord. It looks very random, I will say that. I probably am completely on my own here with finding this super interesting, but let me read you the blurb. Jarwin casually tightened his life belt, then he glanced at his watch. It said 2:15. As an afterthought, he took it off and stuck it into his hip pocket. He was beginning to puzzle over his position when he felt the stern dropping under his feet. It was like taking an elevator. As the sea closed over the stern, Jarwin stepped off into the water. On the 14th of April 1912, just before midnight, on a clear, moonless sea, the White Star Line's massive cruise liner struck an iceberg. She sank within hours. Of 2,200 passengers and crew, only 700 survived. Walter Lord's definitive account of the Titanic's voyage, wreck and aftermath is a classic of investigation based on the testimony of survivors. A Night to Remember became the source for countless films, novels and plays, and it has never been bettered. To me, I don't, maybe to other people that will sound like boring or like, yeah, I've heard enough about the Titanic, but to me that sounds so interesting. It's only a very short book. It's that's an index, so bear with me. Gosh, it's got a big old index, and that's acknowledgements. So 176 pages, that's all, and a really good flop on that as well. So yeah, I really can't wait to read this. I will try and get to this in between bigger reads, and maybe even when I've got like a weekend to myself or something like that. But yeah, I'm very, very excited to read this. I think it'll be really interesting. The next book on my TBR list is another one that's been there for ages, and I have no excuse. I just haven't got around to reading yet. And everyone has been going wild about this book for ages and ages. And it was literally, as soon as I heard about it and saw it, I was like, that's me all over. Like, that sounds so interesting. And I just didn't get to it yet. And again, it's because it's chunky. But that is Butter by Asako Yuzuki. And I can't believe I haven't read this yet. Everybody in the world has been losing their mind about this for a really long time. And it just, everything about it just appeals to me. The story, the cover, which I know shouldn't matter, but it absolutely, like, that really appeals to me. The Japanese writing, the bright colours, the cover, it just looks so stylized and cool. But let me read you the blurb. And I just noticed as well on the back something that's really funny is it says, there are two things I simply cannot tolerate, feminists and margarine. Okay, so let me read you the blurb. Gourmet cook Manako Kaji sits in Tokyo detention house convicted of the serial murders of lonely businessman who she is said to have seduced with her delicious home cooking. The case has captured the nation's imagination, but Kaji refuses to speak with the press. That is until journalist Rika Machida writes a letter asking for her recipe for beef stew, and Kaji can't resist writing back. Rika, the only woman in her news office, works late each night, rarely cooking more than ramen. As the visits unfold between her and Kaji, they seem closer to a masterclass in food than a journalistic research. Rika hopes this gastronomic exchange will help soften the steely Kaji, but it seems that Rika might be the one changing. With each meal she eats, something is awakening in her body. Might she and Kaji have more in common than she once thought? A runaway international bestseller inspired by the real case of the con woman known as the Konkatsu Killer, Asako Yuzuki's Butter, translated by Polly Barton, is a vivid, unsettling exploration of misogyny, obsession, romance, and the transgressive pleasures of food in Japan. Wow, that was a lot. That was a big old blurb, but that sounds just so interesting. Again, the reason I haven't got round to it yet is because it's so long. It's well, over 400, just over 400. 452 pages. So that's why I haven't got to it yet, but I'm really looking forward to reading this. This sounds so interesting to me. I love translated books, I love crimes, I love thrillers, I love mysteries, I love feminist things, and I definitely love food. So this has to go very high up on my list. Okay, 2 more left to go. So the next one is also a recent addition to my TBR list. My husband picked this up for me because I saw it in Waterstones and I really wanted to get it, but for some reason or another I didn't, and so he got it for me, which is so kind of him. But that is The Homemade God by Rachel Joyce. What drew me to this initially was the cover, I'm ashamed to say, but the cover really appeals to me. It kind of reminded me of the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, which I love, but I also just love the way it looked in its own right. It's a very good looking book, nice hardback as well. And then when I read the blurb, even more so I wanted to read it. So let me just read that for you. World famous artist Vic Kemp has relied on his 4 children to run his life ever since their mother died. When he summons them with a promise of big news, the siblings drop everything, expecting he has finished the masterpiece that will be the capstone to his career. Instead, he announces that he is remarrying. His bride-to-be, Bella May, is beautiful, a fellow artist, and 50 years his junior. When they dare to object, Vic decamps with Bella May to his summer home in Italy. 6 weeks later, he is found dead, drowned in a lake he knew like the back of his hand. Netta, Susan, Goose, and Iris gather at the house on Lake Orta to piece together what happened, to locate their father's missing will, and to bring his body and final painting home. Instead, as a heatwave blazes across Europe, they find themselves stuck in a waiting game, living under the same roof as their young stepmother, forced to reconsider what is their father's legacy truly is, and who is Bella May. Is she the woman their father believed her to be, or is she a force that would destroy the family for good? With wit, insight, and compassion, Rachel Joyce explores memory, identity, and sibling bonds, the hairline fractures that can appear, what happens when they splinter, and what it might take to bring a family back together. That sounds so very interesting. The book itself looks beautiful. That kind of story is very different to anything else I've been reading recently, or anything that I think I've read at all, really. So I really can't wait to get around to this one, and that is The Homemade God. And the last book on my pile of my TBR list is another recent addition, but one that, oh my god, looks so beautiful, and that is Spellbound by Georgia Leighton. I'm not sure if you can see it that well, but it's absolutely beautiful. Everything about this book. It's a hardback. The cover is stunning. Absolutely beautiful. And the edges of this book are black, which I just think, oh my god, it's just so gorgeous, isn't it? And this is, my husband again picked it up for me, and yeah, it's a wonderfully imaginative retelling of Sleeping Beauty. That's what he said to me. It's a retelling of Sleeping Beauty. Now, I am something that I've never really talked about in my videos before because there's just never been the need. I'm a Disney girly. I absolutely love Disney. I have been going there for many years. My mum and my dad took me when I was 5 years old. And then after that, I didn't go for years and years. But after that, I went with my husband and his family because they are also a Disney family, and they were going. He was lucky, like he went like every year when he was younger. And since then, we've both been to Disney World. Who am I? Disney World in Florida, like 4 or 5 times, and we even got married there. So I absolutely love Disney. When I was younger, I didn't have like that many toys that I cared that much about. Obviously I had toys and they were great, but the things I cared most about were my books, and I had a set of Disney books, and so I just feel like it's been a theme throughout my whole life. I love Disney. And when he bought me this and I found out it was a retelling of Sleeping Beauty, I was like, yeah, that's so me. The book as well is absolutely beautiful. Let me just read you the blurb. In a remote castle perched atop a windswept island, a long-awaited royal heir is born. In accordance with ancient custom, a blessing ceremony takes place to bestow the princess with magical gifts along with a terrible curse. Except this is not the love story you may think you know. There is no enchanted sleep for the princess and no handsome prince to save the day. Just 3 women who together concoct a desperate plan of misdirect that changes the course of all their lives. But dark magic cannot be tricked, and as the end of the curse edges closer, each of the women has a choice to make. They can wait to find out if the worst will happen, or they can turn to face the coming storm. An atmospheric, feminist retelling of a classic fairy tale that asks, what if beauty never went to sleep? Like, oh my God, that just sounds so whimsical and beautiful and interesting, and it's just fairy tale and it's beautiful. So I really can't wait to get around to Spellbound, and I think this will be one very, very high up on my list. So as I said, these are the books that are high up on my TBR list, the things that I want to read soon and get round to within the next few months. But there is absolutely tons more books on my reading shelves that I have not got to yet. So sometimes things might pop in. You know how like you have a rough plan of what you want to read, but sometimes things just like take your fancy on the spur of the moment. So these things may change, but these are the books that I'm planning to read within the next few months. If you have read any of them, please let me know what you thought of them, spoiler free, in the comments. And if there's anything that you think that I should read like ASAP, like put it to the top of my priority list, then please do let me know. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you've made it all the way through to the end, thank you so much. Put me like a little secret code in the comments so I've read it. I know you've watched till the end. Put like a stack of books, you know, that little emoji of the stack of books. Put that in the comments so I know that you've watched till the end, and let me know if you have any recommendations. I am making a list of your recommendations, and I am planning very soon to do a bit of a haul, so these won't be the only books on my TBR list. But just thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing to my little channel if you already have. If you haven't, please give this video a like and subscribe to my little channel. I will love you forever and ever, and it would mean the absolute world to me if you did that. And just thank you so much for everything. Thank you for watching, and I will see you very soon in my next video. Thank you, bye bye.